Biologists have proven to us scientifically that life begins at the moment of conception. That from the moment of conception, there is this spark and there's this energy of life that occurs immediately. And then as time goes on, within 5 weeks, the heartbeat of an unborn child begins to beat. Actually, it occurs before that, but we don't know it scientifically until 5 weeks, but they believe it occurs in 22 days, a heartbeat. And then, of course, this embryo grows and becomes a fetus, and then you have these little hands and these little feet, and everything starts to form. The sacredness of life, the beauty, the magnificence of life, how it occurs. You know, we see the baby come out of the womb, but yet we know that that baby has been alive in the mother's womb for 9 months. And so out comes this beautiful, precious human life. This human life that we all are. We are that human life. Sacred, magnificent life. You know, oftentimes you'll hear someone say, "Get a life. You need to get a life." Well, you can't get a life when you are life. You are the very essence and expression of life itself, an expression of the divine. That's who each one of us truly are. And then what happens is we grow and we develop, and we can get into all those different stages of development, but we have this expression of life, and we all know we start to experience all kinds of things, you know. They often say, like, as a child, we experience being dependent. You know, our mom picks us up and carries us and changes our diaper and things like that, feeds us, carries us. And we experience a little bit of a tendency to want to be taken care of sometimes in life. We all like to, like, you know, have somebody take care of something for us. And then as we grow, we experience maybe being a little controlling. We throw the bear out of the crib, and mommy comes and grabs the bear, and the kid doesn't know it consciously, but it's like, hey, you know, I did that. When I do this, this happens. So I'm starting to control my environment. If I cry, some people continue to cry, they can get a response from people. And then there's the competitive thing where we move into comparing ourselves with other people. Whose sneakers are better than my sneakers? Who's faster? What did you get in that grade? What did I get in that grade? And yet, ultimately, we're not here to be competitive, we're not here to be controlling, and we're not here to be taken care of. We're here to grow independently as human beings, and we're all here to help each other to become our highest self. I'm not here compared to you, but you and I are here to help each other be our best self. And so we grow and we develop this sacredness, life. Life. How beautiful to be alive. Now, in the scripture passages today, we hear about understanding life. How are we to understand this life that we are? In the book from Ecclesiastes, they talk about a rhythm and a flow and a balance and a pendulum that occurs in all of our lives. There's a time for birth. There's a time for birthdays. There's a time for baptisms and communions and parties. There's a time for weddings and anniversaries. There's a time for celebrating retirement. There's all of these celebrations. But then Ecclesiastes says, but then there's also other things too. There are disappointments, and there are heartaches, and there are setbacks, and there is the experience that people leave their bodies, which we call death, and there is the breakup of a relationship. There are all of these things. There are the beauty and the magnificence of life, and the joys, and there also is the sorrows. And to experience all of it, Last week I was watching, you ever see the movie Inside Out? It's a little animated cartoon thing. If you haven't watched it, definitely get it. It's brilliant. This girl, Riley, the family's being transferred from Minnesota to San Francisco, and Riley's like an 11-year-old kid, you know, has all of her friends and everything like that, and has to go to San Francisco, and she's told by her mother, listen, Daddy feels bad that we're going to San Francisco, so put on a happy face. And they have these little characters inside of Riley, which is like joy, sorrow, rage, disgust, all these things. So whatever she's feeling, that little gremlin thing kind of comes in and takes over the control panel. And at the end of the movie, there's a sense of realizing that Riley needs to be sad. The whole family needs to be sad. The whole family needs to cry because they got transferred out of their environment to a brand new environment. And suddenly, when there is that sadness, when there is that grieving and that mourning, then what comes out of it is the new birth of being able to live their life in San Francisco. So when we hear this, there's a time for grieving, and there's a time for sorrow, and there's a time for all that, because it's part of being human, and we have to allow for that. So Ecclesiastes talks about this rhythm that we have in our life. There's an ebb and a flow. Things are going well, and then things are not so great. And it kind of goes back and forth. And in the midst of all that, there is this you that you're learning about. Who is this you when things go your way? And who is this you when things are not going your way? Who is this you that's wearing your mask right now? That we have to deal with this coronavirus, right? We all have our moments of frustration over that, right? But we have to learn. Am I going to be accepting? Am I going to respect the other people and their desire to stay safe and free of the virus, and to honor that for all people? You know, we're learning about ourselves in that. And then we hear Paul in Philippians say, don't be anxious about anything. Put all anxious thinking beside. Now, can you imagine if we were all there and we're all sitting there, maybe we're taking notes and Paul's talking notes, because put away all anxieties, put away all anxious thinking, right? We're like, say what? What? What are you talking about? Right? What is that? Think about it right now. You're hearing that. Put aside all anxious thinking. Put aside all the things that you worry about and that you fear. Put them all aside and put your trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. Doesn't that sound great? But what is it where it's so hard to live that? Imagine living every day with no worry, fear, or anxiety, and knowing and trusting in the power of Jesus Christ in your life. What would life be like if we could really do that? Now, what we have to do is we have to work on that. We're human. There's something in us that we fear, we worry, we think about things. But the idea is to be aware of it, to notice it, and to not dwell on it. To move toward trusting in Jesus Christ. Like, often think of, like, you know, when things don't go our way and we're complaining or we're whining, you know, and I think of, like, Jesus probably would have went to, like, all parties, right? I mean, if there was a party, Jesus would have went to it. But if you went up to Jesus and say, hey, Jesus, we're having a party tonight. We're having a pity party. You want to come? Oh, pity party. What's that? Oh, well, we get together and we whine and complain and moan and groan and say, woe is me, and this isn't fair, and that's not right. I think Jesus would say, nah, I don't want to go. How long do these pity parties last? Well, some of them are an hour, Some of them are about a month. Some of them are a couple of years. And we just sort of have a pity party. I think Jesus would say, no. I want to have a pity party. Mourn and grieve and feel sad. There's a time for that, and there's a period for that. But we're not going to dwell and wallow in that over and over and over again. So we move now into Jesus with these Beatitudes. So he's saying, so again, think about this. When you mourn and you grieve, what does it say in those Beatitudes? Blessed are they who mourn, they will be comforted. So in the midst of grieving, in the midst of a loss, are we open that there is this healing presence, operative, available to us, that's going to comfort us? We are going to be comforted in our grieving, in our mourning, in our loss. Do you believe that? Are you open to that? That's what this Beatitude is saying. Blessed are they who are merciful, they will experience mercy. Mercy, ultimately comes from the word mercé, which means to be gracious. And then it goes into the French where they say merci, which means to be thankful, to be grateful. So, blessed are they who live with gratitude. Blessed are they who are appreciative. They will experience that in kind. To be a grateful person. This is the Beatitudes. So Jesus, by the way, in these Beatitudes, he's taking the Ten Commandments and he's taking it on a deeper level. So there's a line in the Beatitudes where, it says, Jesus says, well, you've heard, thou shalt not commit adultery. And Jesus says, I'm going to go even deeper, that if you look at another person with lust, that's wrong. And what he's saying is, don't look at other human beings as an object. People aren't there to be used by another person. That to be able to treat other human beings on the deepest level and see the sacredness of who they are. So this passage, these Beatitudes, are challenging us to go beyond a set of laws and rules like the Ten Commandments and to go deeper into our heart. I know all of you, and I know that all of you don't rob the Bank of America because you don't want to get caught. You don't rob the Bank of America because it's not right. It's someone else's money. So there's like a deeper way of living your life. This is what Jesus was calling us all to. Then, think of this line. Blessed are the pure of heart. They will see God. So Jesus is saying there's something about the state of our heart. What does your heart long for? What does your heart yearn for? What does your heart seek after all the time? And that's going to be the quality of your life. If your heart is pure, and you do the right thing, and you love people, and you have compassion, and you're appreciative, and you want to contribute, that type of person, that state of being, creates this highest level where they have the sense of experiencing the divine. Blessed are the pure of heart. They will see God. Just wow. Think of that line. That is incredible. Now, it also talks in this about you're going to be persecuted, you're going to have conflict. People aren't going to appreciate you. People aren't going to get who you are. And you have to be able to accept that. You have to be able to live with the fact that Again, almost like, I can't be a people pleaser. I can't run around wanting everybody to like me, and God forbid someone doesn't like me, and then I'm going to have to like bend myself into a pretzel in order for that person to like me. I can't do that. Jesus is saying, get ready, different things are going to happen. Not everybody's going to get you, but always be committed to who you are, primarily within yourself. Know yourself. Be yourself. So Jesus is calling everybody to the deepest level. Again, it's almost like if you think of church and religion, you have creeds and dogmas and beliefs and things like that. Remember back in the day, like if you ate a hot dog on Friday, you were in trouble, or if you missed Mass back in '84, remember? I saw you. No. You know what I mean? Like where there was like this law, where really it just comes down to a deeper level. Look at all of you here. You come out here in the midst of this coronavirus, you all have your mask on. And I want to say thank you so much for being here, because it's a lot easier giving a homily to human beings than this camera. You're getting it. You're living that on the deepest level. Your presence here, and even I know all of the people in a Good Shepherd that if they're not here because of different reasons, but they would love to be here. That this, what I think is Good Shepherd is about. It's like we're really living those Beatitudes. We're trying to live on that deepest level. I think sometimes, like last week I came out here and Mike Kroll and Bob Ward were out there. It had to be about 87 degrees. And they're out there chopping the trees. You're there, like with the thing with the drive-by, with all the people that came for the Good Shepherd Day. And, I see these guys out there, and I say to myself, God, all I gotta do is give a homily, that's pretty good. I mean, it's amazing, like how many people in our parish who give and contribute and go way beyond that extra mile. What a beautiful parish that we have. So this life that starts at the moment of conception, that grows and develops and comes forth from this womb, to recognize that that is who we are. We are this expression of life. And there's going to be lots of different things that are going to happen to us. As Ecclesiastes says, there's going to be a time for this and a time for that, a time for birth and a time for death. And in the midst of it all, the living God is saying to all of us, don't worry. Don't be anxious. You are here to grow. For the amount of time that you're in your body, and you're to grow to embody and live those Beatitudes, which probably are completely encapsulated in, blessed are the pure of heart, they will see the divine. To work on that and to develop that. But to know too, that as we go from being conceived to an embryo, to a fetus, to a child, and to being an adult, one of the most powerful things we have to always remind ourselves of is that we live at choice. We live at cause. We do not live at the effect of things that happen to us. We always have a choice of how our heart's going to be. Are we going to be open even if we got hurt? What is going to be our attitude, and what is going to be our outlook on all the things that go on in the midst of our life? And so the question that we have this morning is, what will your choice be?